effect of polluted environment with heavy metals and pesticides on bees. Okay, it will be a lecture in Croatian, but also it will be translated.
Evo na samom početku hvala profesoru Marinculiću i njegovoj dragoj supruzi i svima koji su pomogli da budemo ovako okrijepljeni, divno i prirodno okrijepljeni i da možemo onda puni lana nastaviti dalje. A uz to vas u svoje osobno ime kao i u ime kolege Denisa Cvitkovića srdačno pozdravljam, pa tako evo poštovani prisutni, drage dame i gospodo, nadam se da ćete nas malo poslušati na temu utjecaja onečišćenja okoliša toksičnim metalima i pesticidima na pčele.
So at the very beginning, I would like to thank Professor Marinculić and his wife for the great lunch prepared for us. And I would also like to thank you, the audience, in my own name and in the name of Denis Cvitković for having come here today to listen to the presentation. We greet you warmly. And the name of my presentation is Impact of Environmental Contamination of Toxic Metals and Pesticides on Bees.
Ja i kolega Cvitković smo doktori veterinarske medicine, on je profesor ovdje na veterinarskom fakultetu, a ja osobno dolazim sa fakulteta geotehnike, odnosno studija inženjerstva okoliša u Varaždinu.
Dr. Cvitković and myself are doctors of veterinary medicine. Dr. Cvitković is a professor here at this faculty of veterinary medicine, and I, on the other hand, am at the faculty of geotechnical engineering of the University of Zagreb, which is based in Varaždin.
Pa počnimo. Uvodno ću samo istaknuti da će se ovo predavanje vrtjeti oko naše medonosne pčele, Apis melliferae L, koja nam služi kao jako dobar biološki pokazatelj stanja u okolišu i prirodi. Tako da zapravo putem pčele posredno mi možemo pratiti određene tvari u okolišu koje se šire i akumuliraju zrakom, vodom, tlom pa i samim biljkama sve do samih pčela i njihovih konačnih proizvoda kao što su med i vosak. A ti okolišni polutanti ili onečišćivači okoliša su zapravo teški metali, radioaktivni izotopi, pesticidi, o kojima je danas i ovdje puno riječi, patogene bakterije i genetski modificirani organizmi. A istraživanja na koje ćemo se pozivati tokom današnjeg izlaganja su već provedena u mnogim europskim zemljama i šire, tako da su ona potvrdila zapravo poveznicu između onečišćenja okoliša i utjecaja na pčele.
So by way of introduction, I will say something about the honeybee, which is a very good biological indicator of the condition in nature, because it allows us to track certain substances that have accumulated from the air, water, and soil in plants and bee products such as honey and wax, but also in the bees themselves, so to track certain substances in the bees themselves. It also allows us to see what the environmental pollutants are doing, such as heavy metals, radioactive isotopes, pesticides, e.g. insecticides, fungicides, bactericides, herbicides, pathogenic bacteria, and genetically modified organisms. Some studies have been conducted in different countries, and these studies establish a link between environmental contamination and the impact on bees.
Ono što je jako važno istaknuti da većina životinjskog svijeta koji postoji danas su kukci, znači oni zapravo predstavljaju 80% nama poznatih životinjskih vrsta na svijetu, što znači da u životinjskom svijetu dominiraju. Međutim, ako pogledamo, evo i na ovom dijagramu je prikazano, u svim tim kukcima oko 1 milijun poznatih vrsta postoji, udio pčela vidimo da je on zamjetno malen. Poznamo oko 20.000 upisanih pčela, ali to ne znači da je njihov utjecaj ili uloga u prirodi i okolišu malena. Dapače, one oprašuju gotovo 90% biljaka cvjetnica, angiospermi, zajedno naravno sa drugim insektima, ali tu one predvode.
What is very important to note is that the share of the biggest share of animal species is made up of insects. as many as 80% of animal species are insects. And out of this million known species of insects, bees account for a relatively small share of 20,000. However, that doesn't mean that their role in nature is insignificant or negligible, because they play a very important role as they pollinate as much as 90% of flower plants, together with other insects, but the bees lead here.
Ono osnovno o mjestu pčele u prirodi, čisto da vidimo gdje spada i da nam je lakše pratiti ono što slijedi, to je zapravo životinja koja je člankonožac, insekt ili kukac, iz porodice pčela koja, evo, osim Apis mellifere medonosne pčele, broji još i neke druge vrste, a konkretno kod nas u Hrvatskoj postoji varijetet sive pčele.
So this is the place of honeybee in nature. It is within the, it's an arthropoda, yeah,
Yes,
člankonošac,
yes.
phylum Arthropoda, and the family of bees, Apidae, the family of Apidae, and the one that is mostly present in Croatia is the gray bee.
Yes. Ono što je vrlo važno reći za pčele, mi ih svi poistovjećujemo sa proizvodnjom primarno meda, ali onda i drugih pčelinjih proizvoda kao što su vosak, propolis, pelud, matična mliječ i otrov ili proizvodnja samih rojeva pčela i matica. Međutim, njihova biološka uloga je puno veća s obzirom na to da su one oprašivači. Oprašivači su različitog samoniklog bilja, ali isto tako su jako važne kao oprašivači u našoj ratarskoj proizvodnji, jer oprašuju otprilike 70% naših poljodjelskih kultura. Tako da nema njih, ne bi bilo niti, evo imate prikaz u postocima ovih ovdje kultura koje su slikovito prikazane.
What is very important to say is that people mostly think mostly think of bees as insects that produce honey and various products made in conjunction with honey, such as wax, propolis, pollen, royal jelly, and bee poison. However, their biological role is much more significant because they pollinate a lot of flowering plants and around 70% of our agricultural crops. So you can see the percentages together with the respective crops that they pollinate.
Yes. And they also increase yields, but also they are responsible for their quality. Što se tiče biologije pčele medarice, čisto samo da se podsjetimo, to je jedan zadružni kukac, čija zajednica opstoji i kroz zimu, za razliku možda od bumbara koji su isto oprašivači, ali se pred zimu rasipaju, i sastoji se od 3 člana, od matice, koja je zapravo majka svima u košnici, od pčela radilica, koje su ženke sa zakržđalim jajnicima i ne mogu se razmnožavati, i tu su mužjeci, nama svima dobro poznati trutovi koji oplođuju maticu, ali imaju i drugih uloga u košnici. Pčele naravno kroz svoj životni vijek obavljaju čitav spektar različitih funkcija, od sakupljanja nektara, peluda, smole, donošenja vode, čišćenja košnice, brige za podmladak, građe sača i slično. I jedna takva kolonija, jedna takva pčelinja zajednica u prosjeku može imati 40.000 članova, nekoliko desetaka tisuća tokom zime kada je taj broj manji, ili više desetaka tisuća proljeće i ljeto kad je taj broj veći, a razmnožava se, evo kao što možete vidjeti, rojenjem.
So a bee lives in communities, in colonies, and these colonies exist also throughout winter, as opposed to the bumblebee,
Yes.
Whose colonies get dispersed
before the winter.
Yes. In such colonies, there is always the queen, that is a sexually mature female capable of reproduction that lays fertilized and unfertilized eggs. Then there are the worker bees. They are females that are not capable of reproduction and that
And then the drones.
And then the drones, the males that fertilize the queen. Workers perform most of the work inside and outside the hive. They collect nectar, pollen, raisin, bring water, feed larvae, clean the hive, care for the queen, produce wax, and build combs. And such colonies have as many as 40,000 members. During the winter, some 10,000 members, and then during the spring and summer, more tens of thousands of members.
Ono što je jako bitno sa okolišnog stajališta, ali i u smislu oprašiva kolonija pčela od otprilike 40.000 jedinki, ima 1/4 pčela koje su sakupljačice ili sabiračice, znači izlaze izvan košnice na pašu. One učine 12 do 15 letova dnevno, primjerice posjete 100 cvjetova jabuke da bi naputile jedan svoj organ u abdomenu, a to je medni mjehur u kojem prenose nektar u košnicu, što nas dovodi, ako sve to skupa pomnožimo, do broja od više od 13 milijuna oplođenih cvjetova, konkretno u ovom primjeru jabuke, što nije mala i zanemariva stvar. I samim time utvrđujemo pčelu kao jako važan biološki pokazatelj stanja u okolišu, jer je toliko prisutna u zraku i na pčelinjoj paši i na cvjetovima koji pokupe svašta i iz tla, i iz vode, i iz zraka, i to ona donese u košnicu. I to završi u njezinom finalnom proizvodu medu. I zato su pčele jako dobri, rekli bi uvjetno, besplatni samouzorkivači. Znači, vi košnicu premjestite gdje hoćete, pčele same izlaze na pašu, pčele uzorkuju nektar, uzorkuju pelud, uzorkuju smolu za vas, proizvode vosak za vas i onda su prema tome praktički besplatni samouzorkivači. Ne trebate baterije da ih neko navodi, ne trebate da ih neko stalno ručno manevrira ili slično, nego gdje postavite košnicu, nakon nekog vremena slobodno sakupite uzorke.
So 1/4 of bees in an averagely developed colony of around 40,000 bees are active in pollination. That means that they go out of the hive onto the fields and flowers. Each of them makes 12 to 15 flights a day, and they visit about 100 apple blossoms to fill their stomach. That means that they visit more than 13 million of apple blossoms per day. And they are very important biological indicators of environmental conditions. They are so-called free self-samplers because you can put the hive wherever you want, and you can be sure that they will go out into the nature and they will take pollen, and you can take samples of the nectar and wax and anything you need.
A ono što je jako bitno da razlučimo kad takvi uzorci, uvjetno rečeno, dođu u košnicu i mi ih želimo analizirati, da je jako bitno napraviti razliku između onoga što pčelar pčelinjom praksom, načinom na koji se ophodi sa košnicom i pčelama, može unijeti u košnicu i kontaminirati ili onečistiti njezin sadržaj i proizvode, ili ono što su pčele unijele iz okoliša, to su pesticidi, teški metali i ostalo što smo spomenuli. Tako da su to dva osnovna izvora na koje kontaminanti, onečišćivači iz prirode i okoliša mogu doći u košnicu.
So what you have to have in mind concerning the samples that come into the hive, and when you want to analyze them, you have to know what contaminants are taken from the exterior into the hive, from the environment, and what comes from the bees themselves.
From the beekeeping.
From the beekeeping.
From the way that beekeeper handles his bees. Yes. A pčele, evo slikovito prikazano, su zapravo na jednoj raskrsnici svih događanja u vodi i tlu i zraku te biljkama. Jer biljke povuku iz tla i vode sve ono što je u toj vodi topivo, pa između ostaloga i teški metali, i sve ono što se iz zraka na njima može istaložiti. Bilo da je to nekakvo aerosolno onečišćenje kao pesticidi, ili nekakav dim ili nekakva prašina, čestično onečišćenje koje se istaloži na površinu biljke i cvijeta, pa time dođe i u sam nektar nektar i na sam pelud, pa pčele to pokupe i unesu u košnicu, ili jednostavno kad nose vodu u košnicu za potrebe pčelinje zajednice, za pripremu hrane ili za rashlađivanje košnice, također mogu kontaminirati unutrašnjost košnice i pčelinje proizvode ukoliko je voda zagađena.
So we can say that the bees are at the cross section of all these four circles. So there is an overlapping between the water, the soil, the air, and the plant contamination on bees and their products, because bees pollinate blossoms, and we know that plants can draw heavy metals from the water and the soil into themselves, and then there is also the contamination in the air that is found on the blossom itself, and then which the bees then collect as well and bring into the hive, and then the bees themselves also need to bring water into the hive, and that water can also be contaminated itself.
A dva osnovna načina na koji se onečišćenje manifestira na pčelama, odnosno u košnici, ili povećana smrtnost, povećano uginuće kod pčela, ili su tragovi onečišćivala prisutni u pčelama i njihovim proizvodima. Ovo prvo, povećana stopa mortaliteta, je karakteristična za pesticide, dok tragovi kontaminanata u pčelama i pčelinjim proizvodima koji ne uzrokuju akutno trovanje ni uginuće su više karakteristični za teške metale.
So there are two things by which we can see that pollutants are present, contaminants are present. First, an increase in the mortality rate, and the second, traces of contaminants that are present in bees and bee products. The first, the mortality rate, is characteristic of pesticides, and the second, traces of contaminants, are mostly caused by heavy metals, and they do not cause acute poisoning.
Yes. Što se tiče znači kontaminanata, podijelili smo u ovom izlaganju njih na dvije grupe, istaknuti teški metali i pesticidi. Ono što moram istaknuti za konkretno teške metale na početku je da su oni i prirodno prisutni u našem okolišu, pa je jako bitno razlučiti da li je koncentracija koju smo odredili u pčelama njihovim proizvodima prirodnog porijekla ili je ona rezultat antropogenog utjecaja, znači da je čovjek odgovoran ukoliko se neki pčelinjak, pa onda i pčele i pčelinji proizvodi nalaze blizu rudnika, blizu prometnica, urbanih središta, velikih poljoprivrednih monokulturnih površina ili nekakve industrije.
What we have, there are two groups of contaminants, two main groups, and they include heavy metals and pesticides. When we look at them, we have to be careful to we have to know that heavy metals are also naturally present in the environment, and we have to be careful to know what the concentration of heavy metals is naturally present. What is that naturally present concentration of heavy metals? And whether a certain concentration is an anthropogenic influence, that is, whether it was caused by man. We have to look whether there are any mines, big roads present in the vicinity, whether there are big agricultural, monocultural areas in the vicinity or in an industry.
A neki od tih teških metala su ovdje navedeni, to su kadmij, krom, bakar, željezo, nikal, olovo, cink i njima srodni, koji znači mogu u povišenim razinama biti prisutni kod takvih lokacija, i pčele, onda i pčelinji proizvodi nam zapravo tu služe kao dobri biološki pokazatelji onečišćenja okoliša, a evo možemo ih određivati između ostalog atomskom apsorpcijskom spektrometrijom.
So some of these heavy metals include cadmium, chrome, copper, iron, nickel, lead, zinc, and they can potentially pose a health hazard to bees and humans. They are good indicators of environmental contamination and pollution, and they can be analyzed by atomic absorption and emission spectrometry.
Pa što se tiče spomenutih teških metala, potvrđeno je znači da su pčele dobri biološki pokazatelji njih, no osim onog prirodnog porijekla moramo imati u vidu da njihova koncentracija ovisi i o samoj bioakumulacijskoj moći biljke da pohrani i transportira te teške metale u sebe i kroz sebe, ali to ovisi o različitim klimatskim i sezonskim mijenama poput količine oborina i slično, što sve treba uzeti u obzir prilikom određivanja.
Bees and honey can be considered a good biological indicator of contamination in the environment. However, contamination by heavy metals and their concentration also depends on the bioaccumulation properties of certain honey plants, changes in the seasons related to rainfall, and changes in climate. Determining the presence and concentration of heavy metals is very important for monitoring the condition of the environment and because it is important for human health.
Yes. Zanimljivo je to da recimo distribucija teških metala je različita u tijelu pčele, pa tako imamo krom, kadmij i cink koji se može naći u većim koncentracijama na tijelu pčele, znači na pčelinjim dlačicama, dok je u pčeli, odnosno u probavnom sustavu pčele, više zastupljeno od teških i toksičnih metala olovo.
So the distribution of heavy metals in bees is also different. Some heavy metals such as cadmium and zinc are more present on the body of the bees, while lead is more present in the bee organism.
Jedno istraživanje koje je provedeno u Turskoj je također potvrdilo pčele kao dobre biološke indikatore teških metala na način da su bile postaje na kojima su mjerena onečišćenja postavljene u blizu industrijske zone i van industrijske zone, što je naravno potvrdilo razliku u koncentraciji teških metala.
There was also a study made in Turkey that showed that bees are good biological indicators of contamination. It was conducted both within an urban region with industry, where there were found higher concentrations of heavy metals, and outside the urban region, where there is less industry.
And the concentration of the heavy metals were also lower. Što se tiče otprilike arsena, kadmija, olova i žive, oni su primarni kontaminanti ili onečišćivači meda, isto tako i nektara iz kojeg se med proizvodi, a uzrokuju gastrointestinalne, mišićne, reproduktivne i neurološke promjene. Znači pčele od toga ne ugibaju odmah, ali su promjene očite na njima. A osim toga i osim što su ti teški metali analizirani u nektaru i u medu, također su analizirani u vosku koji je također jako pogodan za analize teškim metalima jer je on zapravo akumulator teških metala kroz proizvodnju satnih osnova i sača.
So as regards cadmium, lead, mercury and arsenic, they are the primary contaminants of honey and honeydew and can cause gastrointestinal, muscular, reproductive, and neurological changes, as well as changes in behavior and be transmitted through the food chain. But also apart from nectar and honey, wax is also quite suitable for analyzing the presence of pollutants.
Radi se o tome da kad pčele naprave sače i kad to sače kad to sače bude iskorišteno i kad ono potamni, kad se ono jednostavno i higijene i zdravlja u košnici radi mora pročistiti, ono se otapa, iz njega se prave takozvane satne osnove koje su opet baza pčelama za novo sače. I onda time krug zatvaramo, praktički uvijek imamo vosak i određenu količinu vojska koji se reciklira i koji kruži, pa isto tako i teški metali koji se nalaze u njima. A ovo istraživanje sa metodom produženog hlađenja je zapravo pokazalo da ti teški metali se nalaze nakon hlađenja takvoga voska u najdonjem sloju koje predstavlja otpadni materijal, a puno manja koncentracija je u prva dva sloja, u gornjem i srednjem sloju, iz kojeg se zapravo satne osnove za novo sače proizvode, što je jako dobra metoda jer na taj način dio teških metala iz voska kao primarnog pčelinjeg proizvoda eliminiramo.
So we can also, as we said, wax is very suitable for determining the presence of pollutants because honeycomb can be in a way recycled because when honeycomb gets old, it has to be removed from the hive and new honey wax bases, new wax bases has to be made. And in such recycling, we can see that the lower levels of this base have the greatest concentrations of heavy metals, while the upper layers that will form the basis of later honeycombs have less heavy metals.
So this is a very good method of removing the heavy and toxic metals from wax. Što se tiče organskih spojeva i pesticida u pčelama i njihov utjecaj na pčele, on se naravno očituje, što nam je i ovih dana aktualno u Međimurju i u Hrvatskoj, na intenzivnoj poljoprivrednoj proizvodnji, jer se oni jednostavno tamo koriste. Nažalost, koriste se na nedozvoljen način ili na način da je njihova kvalitativna ili kvantitativna primjena upitna. Pa zbog toga jednostavno dolazi do trovanja pčela, to su akutna trovanja gdje pčele ili ugibaju vani na paši ili uspiju donijeti svoj proizvod, odnosno ono što su sakupili od biljaka, nektar ili pelut u košnicu, ali kontaminiran pesticidima, pa onda strada i cijela košnica.
There are also, unfortunately, problems with organic compounds and pesticides in Croatia and certain regions of Croatia that are due either to intensive agricultural production or to incorrect use and qualitative and quantitative application that is questionable. And this causes acute poisoning of bees. Therefore, the bees die either outside, or when they come back to the hive, and then they bring the poisoned pollen with them, and the entire hive actually dies.
I ono što je tu jako bitno je ono na početku naglašena dlakavost pčelinjeg tijela koja povećava dodirnu površinu sa okolišom i gdje onda različita čestična ili aerosolna onečišćenja upravo bivaju donešena u košnicu.
And what is important to know is that the bees bring most of the aerosol pollutants and other pollutants on their body hairs.
Ovo je prikaz utjecaja pesticida na pčele koji se očituje na način da djeluju neurotoksično, pa su pčele dezorijentirane, pčele teže se vraćaju s paše i pronalaze svoju košnicu. S obzirom da pesticidi na određen način kamufliraju miris paše, posljedično i teže pronalaze pašu, ugibaju vani ili u košnici, a postoje i različiti problemi ako već takav otrovani sadržaj putem pčela dođe u košnicu sa reprodukcijom.
So this is an image that shows the impact of pesticides on bees. As you can see, pesticides have a neurotoxic effect on bees. That means that they become disoriented and that they have a problem finding their way back to the hive. Also, such pesticides can camouflage the smell of flowers and plants outside, and the bee has problems finding blossom. Also, if the bees brings back such pesticides into the hive, it has big reproductive effects on the reproductive health of bees.
Yes. Pa evo isto tako imamo istraživanja koja su se počela provoditi prije više od 30 godina, znači to nije nova stvar, to je nešto s čim se nosimo već jako dugo vremena, ali možda smo premalo naučili i zato postoji premalo sluha. Pa evo, blizu godine mog rođenja je u sjevernoj Italiji provedeno istraživanje gdje su pčelinje zajednice postavljene u dvije zone s velikim kemijskim pritiskom, konkretno pesticida prskanja, i u zonu koja takvog pritiska nije imala. A u ovoj prvoj zoni praktički 76% svog trovanja do kojeg je došlo, za to su bili odgovorni pesticidi. I u 70% od tih pozitivnih slučajeva za to je bio odgovoran d.o.o. fungicid.
So these studies are not something that done recently. They have started to be done over 30 years ago. So this is not something recent or new, but people sometimes do not have enough will to take a better look at them. So that's one study was done in northern Italy around the time I was born, and it included bee colonies that were placed in zones of high chemical pressure and colonies that were in zones where such pressure was significantly reduced. These zones of high chemical pressure included spraying pesticides, and in 76% of cases, it was possible to determine the chemical cause of death. And in 70% of these positive cases, it was dithiocarbamate fungicide.
A zapravo je zaključak tog istraživanja autora koji su ga proveli da pomoću pčela s kojima je onda i taj pesticid dokazan, moguće je napraviti takozvane okolišne zdravstvene mape područja koja su slobodna od pesticida i koja nisu.
So this study made us become aware that bees can allow us to monitor in a way the environment and the use of pesticides in the environment, because we are able to create the so-called environmental health maps.
Što se tiče sličnog istraživanja iz provincije Forli, tamo su se isto koristili pesticidi, ali nažalost kao i dan danas kod nas na pogrešan način, bilo kvalitativne ili kvantitativne prirode, pa su se pčele opet pokazale kao biološki indikatori njihove prisutnosti i smrtnost pčela, ona povećana rata mortaliteta je zapravo bila primarna i vidljiva varijabla takvog onečišćenja, a onda je kasnije kemijskim analizama utvrđeno u kojem se pesticidu radi. Međutim, zaključak ovog istraživanja je bio jako pozitivan, tu su ljudi ipak nešto naučili, tako da je broj trovanja pčelinjih zajednica sa otprilike 8 do 9 prijavljenih slučajeva u 80-ima pao na 3 prijavljena slučaja 90-ih.
Another study was also conducted in northern Italy in the province of Forli, that is known for its fruit production, and there the pesticides were also incorrectly used, be in terms of their qualitative or in terms of their quantitative use. And bees have proven there as well to be good biological indicators of the state of environment. Unfortunately, the mortality rate of bees increased considerably, and it was the primary and visible indicator that pesticides were present in the environment. And then afterwards, by means of chemical analysis, this was confirmed. However, through communication and cooperation with growers, the cases of pesticide poisoning fell from 8 to 9 cases, reported cases per year in the 1980s to 3 cases per year in the 1990s.
A što se tiče jednog istraživanja provedenog u Grčkoj na nasadima citrusa, pamuka i suncokreta, također su uspješno dokazali prisutnost pesticida prema ovim navedenim brojkama i uzorcima meda koji su sakupljeni na tim pčelinjim pašama, i zanimljivo je da je tu također bio prisutan kumafos koji se inače koristio za tretiranje pčelinjih zajednica, samih pčela od njihovog nametnika grinje varoje. Tako da sva ova istraživanja zapravo pokazuju koliko su pčele i med kao njihov primarni proizvod zapravo pogodne i za detekciju ne samo prije spominjanih teških metala, nego i organskih spojeva, pesticida i onih drugih koji se, što smo na početku istaknuli, koriste u pčelarskoj praksi.
Research was also carried out in Greece on the basis of samples related to citrus, cotton, and sunflower plantations, and it also confirmed that bees are a good biological indicator of pesticides. There, it was also established that the pesticide Kumafos was present in the environment. Because it was used to treat the colonies of bees against mites. Yes. And this research shows how suitable honey and bees are for detecting and monitoring the use of pesticides and other organic compounds present in the environment.
Isto tako imamo i istraživanje koje je provedeno i kod nas, i ako se ne varam u vezi sa susjednom Slovenijom, a radilo se o tiametoksamu koje je u subletalnim dozama bio prisutan u košnicama i koji je pokazao dugoročne rezidualne efekte na pčele u kojima se akumulira kao i njihovim proizvodima, a konkretno radilo se o tome da taj neonikotinoid smanjuje masu novoizleženim maticama, smanjuje masu njihovih jajnika koji su jednostavno nezamjenjivi i neophodni za normalan razvoj pčelinje zajednice, pošto je ona majka svima, ali isto tako kod mužjaka, kod trutova je bio reduciran broj spermija.
Research was conducted in Croatia as well and in Slovenia. Some sublethal doses of thiamethoxam were found in hives. This compound has a long-term residual effect and can accumulate in bee products, especially wax. So young bees are chronically exposed to sublethal doses. This pesticide influences the development of each individual bee, and it reduces the body weight of the queen bee after catching and the weight of their ovaries. And when it comes to the drones, their sperm count is also reduced.
Onda dolazimo zapravo do posljedica gubitka pčela. Pčele su istaknute kao dobri biološki indikatori, pokazatelji stanja u okolišu i prirodi, ali isto tako na početku kao nama nezamjenjivi oprašivači u proizvodnju velike količine svjetske hrane.
So now we come to the consequences of bee extinction. We know that bees are good biological indicators of the state of environment, and on the other hand, they are irreplaceable pollinators. Yes. When it comes to the production of fruits and other world food.
To je naravno čak potvrđeno i u Americi, koji su imali milijunske gubitke zbog korištenja neonikotinoidnih pesticida, kojima je zapravo još i sjeme tretirano, a bili su prisutni onda i u biljkama i u tlu, s kojim su pčele došle u dodir i jednostavno uzrokovale milijunske pomore.
This was confirmed in the States as well, where there was increased use of neonicotinoid, the pesticide, and which resulted in the deaths of millions of bees.
Da. Poznati svjetski entomolog, biolog i entomolog Dario Wilson je još davno zapisao, knjiga je kod nas prevedena 2009. još, da moramo biti jako oprezni pri upotrebi pesticida. On je napravio jedan scenarij, ukoliko uništimo naše oprašivače, da ćemo zapasti u jednu spiralu izumiranja, gdje će biljne vrste izumirati u pitanju godina, neke bi možda opstale još nekoliko stoljeća. Sjetimo se onih 87,5% biljaka cvjetnica koje pčele i drugi insekti uprašuju, i onda bi svijet jednostavno zapao u jedno srednjovjekovno doba i srednjovjekovnu borbu za hranu.
Yes, there is a book by a world-renowned biologist and entomologist that was translated into Croatian in 2009, but was written long before that time, and he warned against the
use of pesticides.
Against the use of pesticides, because he said that this would lead to a spiral of destruction if we shrink the insect world, and we would because we have to bear in mind that 87.5% of the plants are pollinated by bees, and such extinction of bees would lead to the medieval world.
And fight for the world food reserves. A isto tako imamo onda i projekciju koja se pripisuje Einsteinu, poznatom svjetskom znanstveniku, fizičaru, koji je rekao između ostaloga da ako bi pčele izumrle, čovječanstvu ostaje otprilike 4 godine života. No ono što je bez obzira na te projekcije bitno i neupitno, radilo se to o nekoliko godina ili o nekoliko desetljeća naše budućnosti naše djece, je to da su pčele nezamjenjivi oprašivači biljaka cvjetnica i zbog toga su ključni čimbenik u održanju biološke raznolikosti.
And Einstein's prediction was also very strong. After the bees die out, humanity will only have 4 years left. So irrespective of whether we will have several years or several decades left, we have to know that bees are irreplaceable pollinators of flowering plants and are a key factor in maintaining biological diversity in many ecosystems.
Pa da zaključimo i da rezimiramo ono što smo izložili, znači pčele i njihov opstanak nažalost je danas pod prijetnjom djelovanja čovjeka. I to se onda očituje kroz razne utjecaje, da ne spominjemo one za sad GMO usjeve, patogene bakterije, radioaktivne elemente, nego konkretno teške metale i pesticide, odnosno biocide, za koje su pčele jako dobri biološki pokazatelji. I možemo ih stoga koristiti kao prijenosne samouzarkivače, praktički besplatne, i onda i njih same i njihove proizvode koristiti za analize koje nam mogu potvrditi koliki je pritisak na okoliš po pitanju onečišćenja.
So, by way of conclusion, we have to know that the survival of the bees is threatened primarily by the activity of man. It is manifested by the harmful influence of contaminants such as heavy and toxic metals and organic compounds. And these are present in the contaminated air, water, soil, and plants. And bees have been proven to be a good biomarkers in environmental biomonitoring. They are very good self-samplers, actually portable self-samplers, and honey can give us insight into the actual condition of their environment and our environment.
Da, tako da zaključit ćemo sa riječima entomologa Browna i Paxtona koji su potvrdili da su pčele ključne za zdravi planet, za zdravlje našeg planeta kao i za zdravu ljudsku populaciju.
So we will conclude with the words of Brown and Paxton, the esteemed entomologists, who said that bees are essential for a healthy planet as well as a healthy human population.
Pa evo tako svima vama koji ste prisutni uživo i koji ste prisutni online, zahvaljujem na pažnji i na tome što smo ipak malo prekrdašili naše vrijeme.
So I would like to thank both you who are here physically and those of you who are online for having listened to this presentation, and for apologize for having run out of time and overrun the time limit.
I molim vas da kad govorimo o pesticidima ili kad o njima razmišljate, da uzmete u obzir da je potrebno sačuvati naše oprašivače i sagledati dugoročni efekt koji pesticidi imaju na njih. Hvala vam na pažnji.
And please, when you think of pesticides, bear in mind that we have to conserve our pollinators and be careful with the long-term effects that pesticides have.
Da. I jako puno hvala na strpljenju i na trudu koje naša prevoditeljica ulaže s onima koji ne izlažu na engleskom.
I will explain.
Thank you, Dr. Zavrtnik. Oh, the truth is just like that, and certainly we have to continue on this theme, and I hope maybe our next scientific meeting will be just focused on the trouble of that they are facing the impollinators. The next presentation and lecture will be held by Dr. Dario Ivić from the Croatian Agency for Agriculture and Food. I think it's very interesting presentation on the risk of assessment in authorization of pesticides. Welcome.
Have to speak in English.
Sure.
Okay. Well, my name is Dario Ivić and I'm working at Croatian Agency for Agriculture and Food, Center for Plant Protection. And let's say we are something like the agency for medicinal products or for veterinary products, but we are performing risk assessment before marketing of plant protection products, risk assessment on pesticides. And I would like to present you the current framework. Presentation. Just a moment, we'll have to find a presentation. Current legal framework on risk assessment
So
of...
I have to first.
Okay. On pesticides in European Union. At the beginning of this symposium, of this meeting, we've heard that sometimes public thinks that pesticides are safe. And we've heard the term safe pesticide. Dakle, čuli smo pojam sigurni pesticidi. The term safe pesticide does not exist. So there is no pesticide, there is no plant protection product which is safe. And this is the basic, let's say the basic point in risk assessment. Dakle, ne postoji sigurni pesticid i ono što mi radimo je ocjenjujemo pesticide sa temeljnom pretpostavkom da su to štetne kemikalije, potencijalno štetne. So this is the so-called risk assessment. And this goes to chemicals and also to biologicals. You should keep in mind that biological products are not without risk. They may be a low-risk substances, low-risk plant protection products, but this is no risk, this is low risk. Dakle, biološka sredstva se često ocjenjuju kao pesticidi niskog rizika. Ne bez rizika, nego niskog rizika. And the current legal framework in European Union, we've heard at the beginning from Mr. Vilibor Sinčić and from others that the public is expecting some changes in a new piece of legislation which is called Sustainable Use Regulation. Now it's Sustainable Use Directive and things should change with this regulation. But to my personal opinion, the key piece of legislation in European Union where things can be, let's say, changed is not Sustainable Use Regulation, but it's this regulation. It's Regulation 1109. It's a regulation on authorization and marketing of active substances and plant protection products. Ovo je glavni zakonski okvir po kojem se registriraju sredstva za zaštitu bilja i kemijska i biološka u Europskoj uniji. Kao što vidite iz 2009. godine, dakle, pretpostavlja se da svih 26, 27 država članica drži da je uredba dobra i još je nisu promijenili. 14 godina je na snazi. And just to, let's say, point out some things on this regulation, this is in recital, to je onaj prvi dio svakog zakonskog akta koji govori zašto se taj zakonski akt donio. This is in recital of this regulation, so it said that the purpose of this regulation is to ensure a high level of protection of both human and animal health and the environment, and at the same time to safeguard the competitiveness of community agriculture. So the point is, we should authorize plant protection products, but with extensive risk assessment to preserve animal health and to preserve both human health. E sad, koliko smo u tome uspješni i kakva je situacija? Situacija je takva da su to trenutne, ajmo tako reći, trenutni pravni okvir i da je taj trenutni pravni okvir na temelju trenutnih znanstvenih standarda koje prihvaća Europska unija. And now you will see what is the risk assessment and what should we do in risk assessment. I would like to present you a little bit of the process of registration, authorization of plant protection product and active substances also. And the period for authorization, let's say, of active substance is in average 5 years. So the risk assessment is taking 5 years. For biologicals now, from the end of the last year, I think the procedure is simplified, and now the Commission claims that the authorization of the new active substances of the new biological active substance can be assessed in 2 years, which is a relatively long period, maybe even 1 year. Dakle, da biste novu biološku aktivnu stvar odobrili na tržištu Europske unije, danas kažu da treba 1 do 2 godine, a za svaku kemijsku 5 godina je proces procjene i autorizacije. Dakle, 5 godina se proučava sva moguća dokumentacija. And which areas are in assessment? I will present you these areas and what is done with plant protection product. First, we have evaluation of data. In evaluation of data, first we have a product background, regulatory context, and good agricultural practice information. So this contains the reason for application. Each plant protection product should, let's say, prove the clear benefit to agriculture. It's a regulatory history of active substance, basic data on active substance, conclusions of zonal report to member states, and good agricultural practice which is approved. In section 1, it's identity of plant protection product, identity of active substance. In section 2, it's physical and chemical properties. And in section 4, it's further information in the risk assessment. So in this part of evaluation, you will find a list of studies, information on packaging, information of safeness, synergies, and all co-formulants. We've heard today that co-formulants, for example, in glyphosate and safeners may be a bigger problem than active substance, and type and function of an active substance. Section 5 is analytical methods, which is very relevant for residue monitoring. Dakle, vi koji prijavljuju sredstvo za zaštitu bilja ili aktivnu tvar moraju opisati analitičke metode kojim će se rezidui, to jest ostaci poslije u biljnom materijalu ili životinjskom materijalu analizirati na način kako propisuje Europska unija. Isto tako, te analitičke metode moraju pokazati kako će se ostaci, to jest rezidui, analizirati u vodi, u tlu, u zraku i u tjelesnim tekućinama. Very challenging section. Section 6 is of, let's say, great interest because it's called mammalian toxicology. As you see, in this assessment, acute oral, dermal, or inhalation toxicity is being assessed with all this skin irritation, eye irritation, dermal absorption. And based on this assessment, on label and on authorization, you have a proposal for classification and labeling of plant protection product. So it's extensively assessed. Section 7 is metabolism and residues, very important for, let's say, food safety in the European Union. And section 8 is environmental fate and behavior. In this section, which requires, let's say, high specialistic knowledge, active substance and metabolites are assessed to see what is their behavior in soil, groundwater, surface water and air. Dakle, u ovom području to je ponašanje u okolišu, ocjenjuje se kako aktivna tvar pojedina ili kako pojedino sredstvo se ponaša u vodi, kako se ponaša u tlu i kako se ponaša u zraku. Sad smo čuli nešto o pčelama, now we heard something about bees. Each plant protection product and each active substance in the European Union, whether chemical or biological, is assessed in ecotoxicology. It is, let's say, the most complex area of assessment because it assesses the effect, potential negative effect, and all risk mitigation measures on birds and mammals, on different aquatic organisms, on bees, non-target arthropods, on non-target soil meso and macrofauna, on microbials in soil, and on non-target terrestrial plants. And based on this assessment, all risk assessment mitigation measures, dakle mjere za smanjenje rizika, are provided on a label and authorization. Dakle, sve te mjere koje se ocijene u toksikološkoj ocjeni, u ocjeni rezidu, u ocjeni ostataka, u ocjeni ponašanja u okolišu i u ocjeni ekotoksikologije dolaze na dozvolu ukoliko mogu uopće proći, a ako ne mogu proći, naravno, aktivna tvar ili sredstvo se ne odobrava, ima puno takvih u EU, sve ih je više i više, a ako se odobrava, onda se propisuju mjere za smanjenje rizika. Dakle, kako se to sredstvo koristi, a da se uzmu u obzir mjere koje će maksimalno u najvećoj mogućoj mjeri, prihvatljivoj mjeri, smanjiti rizik od upotrebe tog sredstva. Dio 10 je također jedan poseban dio koji part section 10 is a special part on assessment of the relevance of metabolites in groundwater, and it provides general information on certain plant protection product or active substance behavior in groundwater. So today, currently, according to the current legal framework, plant protection products, whether chemical or biological, are assessed extensively and are scientifically supported by European Food Safety Authority. And all these active substances and all plant protection products should go to the approval process by the member states and by the European Commission. So let's say it's a current consensus in a field of authorization of plant protection products. Dakle, Europska komisija osnovala svoju Europsku agenciju za sigurnost hrane. Vidjeli smo dakle da, evo recimo kod primjera glifosata bilo je dosta kontroverzno kakve su one odluke donijeli, međutim ta Europska agencija se temelji na trenutnim znanstvenim standardima i principima. Ona sudjeluje u ocjeni svih aktivnih tvari, a svaka država članica na nekakvom zonalnom principu ocjenjuje sredstva za zaštitu bilja. Ukoliko ih ocijeni negativno, one ne mogu biti dakle na tržištu i sve to na kraju odobrava Europska komisija. Prema tome, ovaj proces koji imamo danas je na neki način konsenzus onoga što su dogovorile države članice Europska komisija i po meni ako bi se trebalo nešto mijenjati, onda se treba mijenjati baš u procesu odobravanja aktivnih tvari. We've talked about more hazardous pesticide on candidates for substitution. It's a fact that candidates for substitution are still on the market, are still authorized, as well as the glyphosate. So it's a consensus between all member states, European Commission and European Food Safety Authority. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ivić. Very interesting informations. And so we're continuing. We are almost at the end, but now we'll have something on how to get an organic certificate by Vesna Mijat from Garantie. Okay.
Broj 1. Vas broj 1, recimo još jedno. Good day to everybody. My name is Vesna Mijat. I'm not a scientist. I'm not professor. I'm this little person, unpopular person who is sitting on the shoulder of organic producer and who is checking all what he does and pulling his ear if he uses processes which are not regulated by organic regulations. So I'm inspector on behalf of the Garantie, and I'm terrain inspector, and I go and check the crops and plots and the production processes which a farmer uses in order for him to call his and market his products as organic. So this presentation was aimed firstly for newly interested farmers who would like to get into the system. But as far as I see, we don't have many farmers here, so I will consider you as maybe potential farmers, maybe when you retire or whatever, or maybe you're just interested as a customer of the and user of organic products, just to find out how this control process, which we do, function. So what is really organic certification? Even before we invented something called organic certification, we had, of course, individual farmers who believed in earth, who believed in health, who believed in ecology. But there was always one problem with their products. For customer needed to know how these products are produced and who to trust. So we invented this organic certification system, which really has a purpose for a customer, for somebody to guarantee to the customer that products are developed and produced in a specific way, and that the customer develops trust towards the product and producer. Control and certification consists of several standardized terrain and documentation controls and the procedures according to which product at the end can be certified as organic. For us to have this system functioning and working, you have to have farmer who is interested in entering the organic system, the organic food production system, and you have to have authorized control body. Ministry of Agriculture and Paying Agency for Agriculture, Fisheries and Rural Development are just the level above us, and they are controlling all this process for all of you customers who want to know what they eat. So there is loads of misinformation, and there are lots of uninformed farmers even in Croatia, and some of them are not aware what does it mean to become organic farmer and produce organic food, and some of them even think is that only that I let my crops grow, I sow them, let my crops go and hope for the best. No, that is a wrong thinking. Firstly, there is more effort and more work the farmer needs to include in his production to produce organic product. For example, he needs to use plant cropping rotation. He needs to use sowing clover and other leguminous for improving and enriching nitrogen level in the soil. He needs to integrate the livestock in his production and in his farming, because manures and compost and slurries are again becoming valued source of food for the land. He needs to carefully select crop which he is going to sow and the grass varieties. And of course, he is not allowed to use any kind of chemical weeds control, herbicides. He should use only mechanical weed control techniques. So there is much more effort he needs to use to produce organic food, which is better and healthy for everyone. For us in Croatia, control bodies to function and all of this organic food production system to function, we base all our standards and all our working procedures according to regulation from 2018. It's 484, which was implemented in Croatia last year. There are some national legislative framework which are all done and according to the same regulations. So this is our main regulation. What is control or certification body? This is the extended hand of the Ministry of Agriculture. These are privately owned companies which are accredited for control over the farmers, which are authorized by the Ministry of Agriculture for controlling specific procedures like crop production, storaging, processing, distribution, export, import. And of course, and most important, they are independent control bodies. They have to have equipment, space, educated personnel, and a contract with accredited laboratories, because control bodies sometimes need to get samples of the products and samples of the land in order to prove that the product is organic. Control bodies base their work around standardized control procedures, and they have to prevent all the conflict of interest. At the moment, there are 14 control bodies for organic production in Croatia, and farmers can choose among all of us by checking on this link. In Croatia, at the moment, control body choice, farmers choose control bodies regarding the reference they got from the colleague farmer who is satisfied with their service. Sometimes control body is chosen according to the location, because of course transport costs are included into the fees. Sometimes farmers choose control body over their prices, and sometimes they need to choose a control body regarding the fields they are accredited for. As I mentioned before, is it only production or is it processing, storage, whatever. Sometimes the customer is the one, so the end customer is sometimes the one whose wishes farmer needs to oblige. And for example, when tourists from some European countries come to Croatia, they want to buy organic product, but only if it's controlled by the control body which they've heard of. For example, some control bodies from international countries. For farmer, which we don't have here, but for farmer, there are some requirements prior entering the organic system. First of all, farmer needs to be registered as agricultural producer and has to have all the plots he's using for crop production in the ARCOD system. He has to be well informed about the requirements for organic production and choose control body, and at the end he has to apply for the entrance under the control. He has to sign the contract with control body, cooperate with inspector on a daily basis. Sometimes he needs to finish education about organic production and complete in conversion period. Control procedures which we perform over the farmer usually consisted of control preparation, terrain control, where we check all the plots where he produces, we check all the crops on these plots, and then we go and check all the documentation. He has documentation about inputs and outputs of the farm. Sometimes, if necessary, we do sampling of the product and of the land and do the laboratory analysis for the residues of pesticides, and at the end he gets the certificate. Control body at the beginning of the year issue their annual plan, according to which they visit and check and control certain farmers. Farmers are checked regarding of the season of their crops they use, because inspectors need to visit the farmer when the vegetation is on, vegetation is active. Yeah? And if there is some additional risk regarding contamination or pesticide blown by the wind because the neighborhood plot is contaminated with pesticides, then we do sampling and laboratory analysis. Of course, not everything is perfect when we go and check all the farming and productions. There are sometimes irregularities, and sometimes we issue sanctions. So inspector controls all the agrotechnical measures taken on the field and production and processing phases, all the inputs and outputs, which are very important, because we have to check how much of the fertilizer, how much of the plant protection substances were bought by the farmer, and how much of it he used on the field. We have to check material flow and the traceability for the same reason, and finish the report. So if everything is clear, and it's not usually like that, there are always some kind of small irregularities at least, we finish the control, we do the report, and the farmer gets certificate. So then afterwards he can market his product as organic. Usually we do the control on the report, we list all the irregularities we found. Farmer gets warning and sanctions, which all have correction deadline. And after the correction deadline, we go and check. So we again perform the control, do the next report, and then he gets a certificate if he mended all the irregularities. So products, before they become organic, before they get the organic status, they have different statuses. They are called conventional. Then in conversion, which is status between conventional and organic, and at the end, organic status. Parallel production is not allowed. That means if one farmer on a couple of plots produces organic corn, and on a couple of other plots produces conventional corn, that is not allowed, because inspector, of course, wouldn't be able to differentiate between conventional and organic status products. When farmers enter this system, usually the first question is, when am I going to be able to sell my first organic product? At the beginning, all the products are in conversion period, and this period starts on the date of farmer's registration into the Organic Producers National Registry. That is after he signs the contract with us and after we do the first control. Once land has completed its conversion to full organic status, crops sown into fully organic land may be marketed as organic. It is different length of period for arable land compared to permanent plantation. For example, for arable land, for chamomile, if the chamomile was sown 24 months after the farmer got into the Organic Producer National Registry, only this chamomile will be marketed as organic. Before that, no. And for permanent plantation, the period is even longer, but not for sown, but for picked fruit. For example, picked wine grapes will be organic only after 36 months after the farmer got into the Organic Producer National Registry. So it's not instantaneously after he applies for the entering into the organic system that he will be able to market his products as organic. So we already close to the end. Nobody says it's easy, but there are many benefits of becoming organic food producer. It's not easy because there is more documentation and more inspections for the farmer. There are control bodies, body fees, and higher costs of plant protection usually. And probably at the beginning, as he is learning new production procedures, there will be reduced crop yield. But there are some benefits, of course, because he will be obliged to have more documents. It will be easier for him precisely to follow his own business trends. His products will be more attractive and they will get better selling price, especially for the younger. They will be more attractive, especially for the younger customers. He will leave the natural resource, he will leave the land healthy to his children and grandchildren. He will produce healthier food, and his overall health will be better because of not using pesticides on the field. He will be eligible for national and different EU organic subventions. There are some county refunds in Croatia for control bodies fees, and he will be eligible for different tenders, which include organic production. So, because this presentation was aimed towards the farmers which are still weighing their options to be or not to be organic producer, I don't think there is any choice really. I think organic is becoming must in the world, and I think it's just a matter of time, not a matter of if, but matter of time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for this very interesting and informative lecture. Now we have a small change in the program. So unfortunately, Andrea was not able to come, Vugrinović. So we'll have now Mrs. Martina Borić from BioInput, Andermatt BioInput, who will show us actually solutions on the level of the biological control. So, okay.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Сколько почему?
Здравствуйте. Ко-презентация.
Oh,
Yes, yes, there was. There is a presentation. Okay.
Okay. I wish you all the welcome in front of myself and the Andermatt BioInput. I'm Martina Borić. I'm the agronomist in the Andermatt BioInput. It's a company that, in fact, can now show you the solutions because we have professional biological products for agriculture. We call it like smarter solutions for the agriculture producers. BioInput was founded in 2017 and by me and we become the part of the Andermatt Group last year. It's in September. We are so honored even to be here as a presenter, and also that we are now the part of the big Andermatt Group, who is since the 1988 has been producing biological alternatives to chemical agents such as microbial products, natural substances, beneficial insects and traps, and launched the first production of baculovirus-based plant protection products. We also have it in Croatia. It's called Madex. Next year we will have Madex Twin. It is a specific product that covers only it's used only on apples and covers only cuddling moth, the specific pest on the apple crops. Very, very important pest in Croatia. So we are specialized in organic agricultural production from the beginning, and we find the same language with Andermatt Group. Our benefit and advantage on the market is that we also have producers consultations, because currently in Croatia there is no so much agronomists who work in organic production. We are very happy that we can do that, but we are also facing lots of challenges. I won't call it the problems, but sure, there are challenges. Currently, we have 4 or 5 employees. So we are basically on the fields, working with the producer, advising them, and we are all agronomists. We are not sellers, but we are agronomists. Still, we have to sell our products to have paychecks. But firstly, we are basically consultation regarding organic production. It's our main purpose. As I told you, we became a part of the Andermatt Group. Andermatt Group has 26 companies around the world, and total number of employees is 500. With time, I think that it will be more and more. So the challenges that we are facing, I heard all the slides, all the presentations that were today, and in fact, everything looks very brightly for the future, but there are still some challenges in Croatia that we need to face with. First, it's education. Sometimes I say that people in agricultural producers are some kind of very comfortable in using chemical pesticides because it's easier, much easier than using organic ones, and to learn more about life cycles of the plant, life cycles of the pest, fungi, and all the problems that can appear in the orchards or some kind of production. So when I have to convince people that we have Austria, our neighbor, with 20% of organic production, and still I have to convince some of my colleagues that it's possible to do it in Croatia, they don't believe me. They are saying that I'm not real, really. In Croatia, for now, we have 7% of the organic production, meaning that we are working with only 2%, me and my similar thinkers, because 7% are all the production, including the green fields, pastures, and, for example, I don't know, hazelnuts, walnuts that are not in real production area still. So we have a really different, complete approach to production. Healthy and fruitful plants grow from healthy and fertile soil. We put lots of importance to the soil as we are to the environment. We're facing a very strong chemical lobby. It's a big problem. Even in my, I as agronomist always go to our annual plant protection seminar, and I'm the only one talking there about organic. Now they started to talk about, but basically on the negative point, that we will be hungry, that it's not possible to produce it. So it's very difficult to compete with such a strong chemical lobby. But I'm so happy that we are now having this type of conversation, because in the future we'll be stronger together and we can make a difference. Market, regarding placement, price and demand, we still don't have a network of the organic products. Still, if we will produce organic, and we will in the future, we will have to, our government, our ministry will have to make market network for those products. Still now the small production from the fields, you know, the stands that they basically, the people that produce, they also sell those products to the neighbors, to the people around them, and etc. And we like to call it regenerative agriculture. It is the agriculture that we think it's the future. So we are working organic, but we don't say that everybody should work organic. We still think that there is this great, different, better approach is to use and implement all the biological protection and strategies into conventional production. To reduce chemical pesticide and fertilizers. This is something that in future will be the case. So we are not even thinking that all the conventional producers will start to use organic products. This is not just the case, but it's not important. But if we, for example, if they have 20 spraying through the year, put 5 organic, why not? You will still have the great protection, and you will reduce the chemical pesticides. So this is the future that I think that it will be very realistic. So I already said about that. We have, this is the agricultural area in Croatia regarding organic production. By the year of 2030, we will supposed to have 14% in Croatia. I really don't know how we will achieve that, because we are still just talking. I have a lot of producers that come to me that want to change conventional to organic, and I'm very happy because of that, but the change is not happening quick enough. It's very slowly, but still it's happening. What we offer in our company, I won't go into details. I will just tell you how we do things. If you will have any more questions, you can ask me or send us an email, whatever. We offer pellet fertilizer, foliar fertilizer, biostimulants, special purpose fertilizers, plant protection products, straighteners, and basic products. Straighteners and basic products are, in fact, very new name in agronomy and agricultural way of protecting plants, but this will be more often in the future, because basic products are products that are used also, for example, in human use, for example, soda bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate, and it is used also in agricultural purposes. Those are products who also have a list of good agricultural practice, and they basically have a list on which crops, on which pests they can be used, and they don't have to have registration. This is very important because it doesn't cost a lot, and they can register it, not register it in the real meaning of the word, but have it on the marked place on the market to have it like a plant protection product. So regarding organic fertilizers, we decided to go with fertilizers that have a very alive organic matter and a lot amino acids, because we really believe that everything comes from the healthy soil. And we firstly are trying to do the regeneration of the soil and then use it as a, well, then the plant is more healthy and has less, it's more, how to say, self-defended to the other pests that can come. We think and care about plant health, so we use lots of products together, mix it together to keep plant healthy. So we don't have to use a lot of plant protection products. We think about stages of the plant, respecting the nourishing and elements and needs for specific element, weather conditions, taking into consideration that our years, last year, this year, I don't know, every year is totally different. So we have so much extreme conditions, from the very dry year to the very wet year, very specific needs that people come to us and ask us the solutions for. So it will be very challenging in the future to deal with these very extreme weather conditions. And also plant specification, because we know that pests, there are some specific pests for the specific plants. So there are no general pests. Plant health. So we demand to keep plants healthy, respecting and using all the new and useful strategies and know-how methods in agriculture. And to be honest, we learn only from our neighbors. I don't learn from nobody in Croatia. I'm very sad because of that. I learned from the German partners, from the Italian partners, from Austria, from, I don't know, Slovenia even, but I cannot learn anything from Croatia. We don't have a support that we will need in the future. So we use lots of amino acids, algae, vitamins, minerals, and micro and micro elements, respecting different plant needs in all times and respecting the growth. So we need to have lots of knowledge to work with specific products in specific stages. Weather conditions, I already told you about that. New knowledges and achievements have a great impact on plants, helping them to achieve maximum potential despite the weather. There are some basic things that we use here, and we have to be smart enough to combine them together to have the maximum results. And plant diversity, pests, we have here smarter approach. We have, like different plants also have different pests. We have preventive and curative treatments, preventive and curative treatments on fungi and bacteria, and curative treatments on insects. We don't have preventive treatment on insects. In preventive, we do the induction of self-plant definism, which means that we use all the other components like algae, amino acids, equisetum, urticas, all the great things from the environment to keep plant healthy. If we see that there is a problem, then we go with curative treatments and plant protection products, but we are not so. We don't want to use them as much as we could, for example, if we are going in conventional production. That's meaning that there is no residues, there is no toxic components inside, and no systemic action. So for example, my colleague Ivić was speaking about toxicity. Yes, there are, so for example, pyrethrin, that we have acid 5, it's a 5% of pyrethrin. It is a toxic component, but we know that it's a toxic for 24 hours, and it's 24 hours in the best conditions, because it is very labeled regarding the sun and the temperature. So we do know how to treat our orchards, for example, with the products. We are not using it when the bees are out, so we are using it at night or even in the morning. And we know that there is no big toxicity on the, for example, bees. So we have to think ahead, we have to think that we have to know the timing when we will use the product. Of course, there are some toxic components, but most of the components are not toxic. They're even used in human, either medicine or even food, in human food. We are respecting the environmental diversity and respecting the good agricultural practice. When I say no systemic action, none of our products has systemic action. That means it's not stayed in the plant, or it doesn't go inside the fruits, or even any plant in the that we are spraying. It's only on the surface. And thank you for your attention. I was trying to be very quickly. I'm hoping that you are now getting the idea that we can do something. We have lots of products. You have our brochures here, and if you have any questions, you can call us and we can talk about your challenges. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. I know this is really true, and we should really improve in the number of enterprises who will certainly be on our side. And yes, and at last, but certainly not least, and this is, I'm sure, a very interesting solution, and it's Croatian. That's what I like. So, Professor Vinceković from the Faculty of Agronomy will show us a new approach. First,
my presentation.
Action of crops.
Thank you. So hello, everybody. First, we need to find my presentation. Did we only? Vinceković lecture is here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No. Yes. No. Yeah, this here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So hello, everybody. We need to go on the slideshow. No? So hello, everybody. My name is Marko Vinceković, and I'm working at the Faculty of Agriculture at the University of Zagreb in Department of Chemistry. And I will be very quick. I hope so that I will be very quick because I'm the last one. And wherever I go and whenever I have a lecture, I always make this introduction of my faculty, because I'm working at the Faculty of Agriculture, which is a leading higher education institution in the Republic of Croatia, which was founded in 1919. And we get this name on 1959, and we became independent. We have altogether 423 employees. We have got 2,619 students on all level of education. What is the most important thing? That we are very interdisciplinary institution, because we have got 28 departments. And what is the most important thing? We have got six experimental fields, which are used for scientific and technical activities, for research and practical work of teachers and students. So what I'm working on, in the process of encapsulation, and encapsulation is the process of the packaging of the bioactive components into small particles, which could be spheres or capsules, and they could have a diameter of several nanometers to several millimeters, and their content could be very easily released over a certain time period on this under the certain condition. So why encapsulation? With this process of encapsulation, we could protect these bioactive components from the outer effects. Also, we could release these bioactive components in certain time periods. And also, what is the most important thing with this application, we could stimulate the production of secondary plant metabolites, which are very powerful antioxidants. and very important for the human health. So what was our research goals? So we should make this preparation of microparticles which are loaded with biological or chemical agents. We need to make the optimization of this preparation method, and then we apply these formulations on different plant cultures. So we increase this defense mechanism of the plants, and also we make the functional food. So what was our materials and methods? So we have been using the process of encapsulation by the method of ionic gelation and polyelectrolyte complexation, and we could encapsulate different bioactive components. So we could encapsulate different micro and macronutrients. We could encapsulate microorganisms, essential oils, lipids, biomolecules, and single compounds. So in our case, we use this very good microorganism, and it is Trichoderma viride. It is a very good fungi because it could protect the plant from other pathogens, but also it is a biostimulant, and it is a plant growth promoter. So this is a schematic view of how did we prepare these microcapsules and macro formulations. It is a two-step process, and we could make different variables of this production. So these particles could be of different sizes, from 160 to 2000 micrometers. We could have different concentration of gelling cations, and also we have a presence of biological agent, and also we have got this second layer of the chitosan biopolymer. So this is a schematic view what we have done during our investigation. So we made these microspheres. Then we have been investigating interactions of bioactive components and this release behavior, and also we have been measuring physicochemical properties. So we have been measuring interactions between the spores of the Trichoderma viride and gelling cations. So, and we find out that these interactions are mainly electrostatic, that these spores are negatively charged, and that with increasing of the concentration of the gelling cation, we will not destroy these Trichoderma viride spores. Also, we have been measuring interactions between biopolymers and the encapsulants, and also we have been found out that these interactions are mainly electrostatic, and that here we have got a very important role of hydrogen bonding. We have been also working on in vitro release of bioactive components, and we have been found out that this releasing is going out by diffusing mechanism, and that with a higher concentration of the gelling cations, we are having better so we have got a very fast release. But with this other layer of the chitosan, this releasing of bioactive component will be a bit slower. Also, we have been working on the measuring of this morphology of the microparticles. So we have done a lot of investigations with the different microscopes, like optical microscopy and scanning electron microscopy and confocal laser scanning microscopy. And you could see that these spores of Trichoderma viride, that these spores survived the process of encapsulation method. Also, we have been measuring the morphology of these microparticles by atomic force microscopy. After that, we start with the application of the optimal microparticles on different plant cultures on the green lettuce. And we have done that for 2 years in conventional application and 1 year of hydroponics. And we have got a very good results because with some formulations, we increased the level of chlorophylls in lettuce for almost 86%. Also, we increased the level of polyphenols, and also we increased the antioxidant activity. Also, we applied these formulations on the Vitis vinifera. Also, we increased the level of carotenoids and chlorophylls in the leaves of Vitis vinifera. Also, we increased the level of polyphenols and antioxidant. Also, we applied these formulations on strawberries, and again, we have got a very good results because we increased the level of polyphenols, flavonoids, and also we increased antioxidant activity. Also, we increased the level of total anthocyanins and flavonols, and what is most important thing, we increased this antioxidant activity, and we made a functional food. Also, we applied these formulations on tomatoes, and this is very good results because we increased the level of lycopene in tomatoes for almost 230%. What we are working on, again, we will apply microparticles with zinc and iron on the strawberries. Also, we will work on the Physalis peruviana, but we will use here some acids which are also a plant growth promoters. Also, it is very important we made this foliar application of the copper microparticles on the grapevine, and we have got a very good protection against peronospora. So, the final remarks of these investigations that we made new microparticles, new formulations, which could be used in agroecological production of the plant cultures. We find out that with this application, we could decrease the usage of agrochemicals for almost 30%. That with this application, we could stimulate the production of the secondary plant metabolites, so we could produce the functional foods. So with this method and with this technology, we could make the production of the living cells. We could make this easier uptake of macro and micro nutrients. Also, we could stimulate the secondary plant metabolites in the plants. We could make better plant protection. And as I said, we could have a new approach in the functional food production. With our investigations, we applied on several competitions, and we get a lot of awards on the Zagreb Startup Factory, on Climate Kick Accelerator Program. Also, we had one Horizon project. We get silver medal on AgroArca. We get also one award on the Technological Innovation Showcase in Washington, D.C. And one of the best awards which we get was on the 8th Food Competition. And with this money, we shall start the patent application of our production. At the end, I would like just to represent our Horizon project, which we got last year. And this is a first project which was between European Union and Africa. So this is the abstract. This is a leader of this project. It is a Pedal Consulting from Slovakia. And this is some general information about this project. There is a lot of partners. It is about 52 partners, which is very challenging. But, you know, there are also a lot of countries from the Africa, and they don't speak English, so that's very challenging. Also, so this is EU partners, but also this is this is this is our partners from the Africa. This is the key challenges, objectives, and I will not talk a lot about that because this is the end of my lecture. So thank you very much. And if you have any kind of questions, I'm here. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, this is the very end, but no, it's really not. So we have a special guest here and a special book, and I would like to call Dr. Chacia to tell a few words about this great masterpiece.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Maja Chacia. I also come from a faculty of agriculture here in Zagreb. And thank you very much for giving me just a short opportunity to present you a book that we from faculty in association with some colleagues from Austria, Slovenia, and Hungary made during one project. This is the Croatian version, but the original is in English, and it is called the Training Manual for Plant Protection in Organic Farming. So that's why everything here is related to most of the things that we were talking about today. So basically, it is like a manual for trainers, so for educators to train farmers how to do organic farming. But the first part consists of things that will help the trainers, but the rest is actually a very important part of how to deal with all sorts of pests, disease, and weeds in organic farming, agriculture. As we know, not a lot of things are allowed in there. So basically, mechanical, physical, and so on is described, measures are described in here. And I don't know, I just wanted to present you with this book. This is the Croatian version. It is still not final. It is both books will be university manual or book, university book. Yeah, and we will probably change the pictures and so on, but this is the first printed Croatian version. So if anybody is interested, it is here. And I also forgot to say, it is for educators, but everything else is actually for any farmer which has his own organic production. Maybe it can help him. It has a lot of literature also, so you can find another sources and even some questionnaires and so on. And also we decided at the end, maybe you can see, for example, we put guidelines. We decided to take 5 crops, 5 cultures. So basically some guidelines how to do organic farming in organic vineyards, in organic potatoes, peppers, onions, and apples. So we couldn't put it everything, but these 5 is what we have chosen. So thank you very much for a few minutes of your time.
Thank you. And let me know when it will be distributed in the bookstores, or?
We will see. I don't know yet, but I will contact you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That will be great. Sorry. Okay. So we survived. No, we have certainly enjoyed. And yes, but this is not the end of the meeting, so I will shock you, and we will continue. So we'll open a closed, we can say, Facebook group with all of you and all the participants abroad in Europe. Okay, and just to continue the discussion, because I think that this is the most important thing. So if today we start a new way of thinking for most of our, we can say, agriculturists, or actually our growers, maybe this is the best way to use the social media. So I think that you will help me in that, and I won't give up. Okay, so I'm boring and I'm tedious, and I won't give up. I would like really to see if it is 17% of agriculture under organic conditions should be, so no fake. because we will have children, and certainly will be old and will be certainly susceptible to pesticides and so on and so on. Oh, Natalia, thank you very much. You're still here. This is great. Okay,
Yes, of
so
course. And I want
your
to
words.
thank you, Dr. Vinceković, and thank you, Dr. Veckers, for being with us all this time and for your great contributions. On behalf of Pan-Europe and IBMA, I thank to all lecturers and to all participants who followed us. And I hope this is the start of a very nice story that will continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your seconds, and there were thousands and thousands that you actually wasted on me. Okay, thank you very much. I would like also to inform you, the audience, that we have a nice PR release that we are preparing, so it will certainly in a few days. I hope that our journals will report on that, and also there will be some television reports, and also even our national television will. They announced me that they will call me and arrange some kind, probably kod nas doma, probably something like that. Okay, and so. At last, I would like to ask you to continue to support us as, if it's possible, the association of biofuels, because we would like really to increase and actually to distribute the real informations about the threats. Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much also to the online audience. And I was certainly sorry for all the failures that happened, but this is the first time. So the kitten has to know how to swim. Now I know. Okay, thank you very much.